The wealthiest man in human history followed a financial law that would seem like professional suicide to a modern banker. King Solomon possessed a fortune that experts estimate at over $2 trillion in today's currency. His wealth was not an accident. It was the result of a specific, repeatable system of capital management. Most people believe that wealth is built by taking massive risks on a single idea. They think that one lucky break or one hot stock will change their lives forever. But the ancient record shows that Solomon operated on a completely different set of mathematics. He refused the all-in mentality that characterizes the modern gambler. He rejected the lure of the single, concentrated bet. This is a law that survives 3,000 years of testing because it is rooted in the reality of an unpredictable world. The system we live in today is designed to make you feel behind. It is designed to make you feel like you must catch up by taking a shortcut. This creates a psychological state of desperation, and desperation is the fastest way to lose everything. Solomon understood that the world is inherently volatile. He knew that empires fall, crops fail, and markets vanish. Therefore, he built his empire on a forbidden law of distribution. He protected his family from the one thing that destroys most fortunes: the single point of failure. This is not just a suggestion for the rich. This is a mathematical requirement for anyone who wishes to stay free. If you ignore this law, you are not an investor. You are a victim in waiting. There are two types of people in the world of finance. The first type is the gambler. The gambler is obsessed with the big win. They look for the one thing that will make them rich overnight. They pour all their energy, all their time, and all their capital into a single venture. When that venture is doing well, they feel like geniuses. They brag to their friends. They increase their spending. They feel invincible. But they are standing on a single pillar. When that pillar cracks, their entire world collapses. They lose their savings. They lose their confidence. They often lose their families. The gambler believes they can predict the future. They believe they have an edge that no one else has. The second type is the steward. The steward understands that they cannot control the world. They know that life happens. They recognize that even the best plans can be ruined by events outside of their control. The steward does not look for the big win. They look for the consistent, protected growth. They build a house with 7 pillars instead of 1. If one pillar breaks, the roof does not fall. They move slowly. They are patient. They are disciplined. The gambler is driven by greed and the fear of missing out. The steward is driven by responsibility and the desire for legacy. One path leads to high-stress volatility and eventual ruin. The other path leads to quiet, compounding freedom. The difference is not their intelligence. It is not their access to information. The difference is their willingness to obey the law of distribution. The gambler wants to be right. The steward wants to be safe. You must decide which identity you will claim. You must decide if you want to be a hero for a day or a builder for a lifetime. Ecclesiastes 11:2 states, "Give a portion to 7 or even to 8, for you know not what disaster may happen on earth." Solomon wrote this near the end of his life after decades of managing the most successful economy in the ancient world. Notice the specific instructions. He did not say to pick your favorite investment and wait. He said to divide your portion. He chose the numbers 7 and 8 deliberately. In the ancient Hebrew mindset, the number 7 represented completion. It was the full cycle. By adding 8, Solomon was suggesting that even a complete plan should have an extra layer of protection. This is not a metaphor. This is the ancient origin of what we now call diversification. But it goes deeper than modern portfolio theory. Solomon was speaking about the inherent unpredictability of the earth. He used the word disaster. He was acknowledging that the unthinkable will eventually happen. This is not a pessimistic view. It is a realistic one. In modern terms, this means that your survival should never depend on a single source of income, a single asset class, or a single market. Solomon understood that if you give your portion to only 1 or 2 things, you are arrogant. You are assuming you know what will happen tomorrow. But if you give your portion to 7 or 8, you are humble. You are admitting that you do not know which path will succeed and which will fail. The principle survives because the human condition has not changed. We still face disasters. We still face market crashes. The man who obeys Ecclesiastes 11:2 is the only one who can sleep through the storm. He is protected by the law of the portion. When you violate this principle, something changes inside your mind. You begin to lose your freedom of thought. If all your money is in one place, you become a slave to that thing. You check the price every hour. You feel a surge of dopamine when it goes up. You feel a crushing weight of anxiety when it goes down. This is not just about money. This is about psychological control. Every decision you make starts to be filtered through the lens of that one investment. You become defensive. You become fearful. You lose the ability to see the world clearly because you are too invested in being right. This is the internal prison of the concentrated bet. The numbers on the screen become a weight in your mind. However, when you follow the law of 7 or 8, your psychology shifts. You develop a sense of detachment. You know that if one of your portions fails, you still have 6 or 7 others working for you. This creates a level of calm that is almost supernatural in a volatile market. You stop reacting to the news. You stop panicking when the market dips. You begin to focus on the long term. You move from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. You realize that you are not chasing a number. You are managing a system. The external distribution of your money creates an internal distribution of your stress. You are no longer vulnerable to a single point of failure. You have reclaimed your time. You have reclaimed your peace. This is the invisible benefit of the Solomon Law. It is the ability to walk through a crisis without being destroyed by it. The steward understands that wealth is a marathon, not a sprint, and you cannot finish a marathon if you are hyperventilating. Modern financial history proves that Solomon was right. Charlie Munger, the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, spent his career studying the psychology of human misjudgment. His conclusion was that most people fail because they are too certain about things they cannot know. Munger advocated for a latticework of mental models. He believed that you should never rely on one way of thinking or one way of earning. This is the modern secular version of the Law of 8. Munger and his partner Warren Buffett built a conglomerate that owns dozens of different businesses in different industries. They did not put all their money into one stock. They divided their portion. They understood that the world is full of black swan events that can destroy even the best companies. By having multiple streams of value, they made themselves antifragile. This is exactly what Solomon taught 3,000 years ago. Another modern validator is Benjamin Graham, the father of value investing. Graham introduced the concept of the margin of safety. He argued that you should never invest without a buffer for error. If you follow Solomon's law and divide your capital among 8 different areas, you have built an automatic margin of safety. If one area drops by 50%, your total wealth only drops by a fraction. You have protected your downside. John Templeton, the legendary contrarian investor, also followed this ancient path. He was a pioneer in global diversification. He didn't just invest in one country. He looked at 7 or 8 different regions. He knew that when one part of the world was in crisis, another part would be in a boom. Same truth, different century. These men were not trying to be religious, they were trying to be smart. And being smart means admitting that you are not a prophet. Picture this: an economic recession hits. A specific industry, let's say the technology sector, faces a massive correction. 2 investors face this same situation. The first investor is a gambler. He believed that technology was the future. He put 90% of his life savings into 3 high-growth tech companies. He felt like a genius during the boom. He bought a bigger house. He took on more debt. When the crash arrives, his portfolio drops by 70% in 6 months. He is now underwater on his mortgage. He is paralyzed by fear. He cannot sell because he doesn't want to lock in the losses. He cannot hold because he needs the cash to pay his bills. He is trapped. His marriage begins to suffer under the strain. He has no choice. He has no options. He is a victim of the single point of failure. Now look at the second investor. This is a steward who followed Solomon's law. She divided her capital into 8 portions. She has some in real estate, some in precious metals, some in dividend-paying stocks, some in a small private business, some in cash. When the tech crash hits, that one portion of her wealth takes a hit. It might even go to 0, but she still has 7 other portions that are stable or even rising. Her total net worth barely moves. She has the cash to cover her expenses. She has the peace of mind to keep her family calm. She might even use her extra cash to buy the tech stocks that the first investor is being forced to sell. Same crisis, different preparation, different outcome. This is not luck. This is mathematics. The gambler was betting on his ability to predict. The steward was betting on the law of distribution. The 7th and 8th portions are not just numbers. They are lifeboats. The rules for implementing Solomon's investment law are simple. They are boundaries that protect your legacy. First, never let a single asset make up more than 15% of your total wealth. This is the portion rule. If it grows larger than that, you must have the discipline to sell a part and move it elsewhere. Second, divide your wealth into at least 7 distinct categories. This could be land, productive businesses, liquid cash, precious metals, high-quality bonds, dividend stocks, and skills on education. Notice that education is a portion. Your ability to earn is an asset that must be diversified. Third, never invest money that you cannot afford to lose in a single portion. This ensures that you never experience a total wipeout. Fourth, ignore the all-in stories. The media loves to highlight the person who put everything on one coin and became a millionaire. They never show you the 10,000 people who did the same thing and lost their homes. You are a builder of a dynasty, not a lottery player. Fifth, rebalance your portions once a year. This is the discipline of the steward. You move money from the portions that have grown to the portions that have shrunk. This forces you to buy low and sell high without having to guess. These rules are not complicated. They are choices. You decide if you want to be a slave to the market or a master of your system. You decide if you want to walk the path of the gambler or the path of Solomon. This is not complicated. This is the law of the portion. You are not powerless. You are not trapped in a cycle of anxiety. You are making choices every day. Every choice compounds. Every decision creates a trajectory. The question is not whether you can do this. The question is whether you will. You are the steward of your family's future. You are building something that should outlast you. The path is simple, but it requires the patience of a builder. Freedom is possible, one portion at a time. You are building a house with many pillars. If the wind blows against one, the others will stand firm. Your children will inherit either your wisdom or your mistakes. They will either walk in the freedom you created, or they will struggle in the ruins of a single bet. Choose the path of the builder. Choose the law of 8. This is the Solomon Wealth Code. It is the end of fear. It is the beginning of authority. Go in peace. Walk in wisdom. Remember, the portion you give to many is the portion that protects your life. The system wants you to be a gambler. It wants you to feel like you are missing out on the next big thing. It wants you to be impatient. Why? Because impatient people are easy to manipulate. Impatient people buy at the top and sell at the bottom. Impatient people pay the most in fees and taxes. But the steward is invisible to the system. The steward is calm. The steward is distributed. The steward cannot be destroyed by a single event. This is the forbidden law because it robs the system of its power over you. When you have 8 portions, no one person can control your fate. No single company can ruin your life. No single government policy can take everything you have. You have created a fortress of freedom. This is the goal of generational wealth. It is not about having a mountain of gold. It is about having a system of protection. Solomon had the gold, but he kept the system. He knew that the gold would eventually vanish if the system were not in place. This is why he focused so much on wisdom. He knew that wisdom is the only asset that can rebuild all the others. If you lose your money but keep your wisdom, you will get the money back. But if you lose your wisdom and keep the money, you will eventually lose the money too. This is why you must invest in your understanding of the law. The law of 7 or 8 is also a law of humility. It is a confession that you are not God. You do not know what the next year holds. You do not know which industry will be disrupted by technology. You do not know which country will face a political crisis. By dividing your portion, you are honoring the reality of human limitation. This humility is the foundation of true wealth. The most dangerous person in the market is the person who is sure they are right. They are the ones who use leverage. They are the ones who ignore warnings. They are the ones who end up in the ruins. But the humble steward is always prepared for the disaster that may happen on earth. They are ready for the black swan. They are ready for the unexpected. This preparation is not a sign of fear. It is a sign of power. It is the power of the man who has built a house that can stand in any weather. This is what you are doing for your children. You are not just leaving them money. You are leaving them a blueprint for survival. You are teaching them how to manage risk in a dangerous world. You are giving them the Solomon Wealth Code. The difference between a rich man and a wealthy man is time. A rich man has money today, but he may be broke tomorrow. A wealthy man has a system that produces value regardless of the calendar. Solomon was wealthy. He built an empire that lasted long after he was gone. He did this by sticking to the laws of capital. He did this by refusing to play the game of the gambler. He stayed focused on the portion. He stayed focused on the distribution. He stayed focused on the long term. This is the same path available to you. It does not matter where you are starting. It only matters which direction you are facing. If you have $100, divide it into portions. If you have $1 million, divide it into portions. The principle is the same. The mathematics are the same. The peace of mind is the same. You are not chasing a feeling. You are obeying a law. And the law always works for those who obey it. The psychological freedom of the distributed steward is the ultimate goal. Imagine waking up during a market crash and feeling no fear. Imagine seeing the headlines about a bank failure and knowing that you are safe. Imagine having the ability to help others who are in crisis because you were prepared. This is the character of the Solomon steward. They are a pillar of strength in their community. They are a source of stability for their family. They are not shaken by the world because they have built their world on a different foundation. They have followed the ancient wisdom. They have obeyed the forbidden law. They have divided their portion to 7 or even to 8, and in doing so, they have secured their legacy. This is the invitation. This is the challenge. Stop looking for the one thing. Start building the many things. Stop being a gambler. Start being a steward. The world is waiting for men and women of wisdom to lead. The world is waiting for those who can stand through the storm. As you look at your current financial life, ask yourself, how many pillars are holding up my roof? If you only have one source of income, you are in danger. If you only have one type of asset, you are in danger. If all your wealth is in one currency or one country, you are in danger. You do not need to panic. You just need to begin the work of distribution. Start with your next paycheck. Divide it. Put a portion into savings. Put a portion into a new skill. Put a portion into a different asset class. Slowly, over time, you will build your 8 pillars. You will move from vulnerability to resilience. You are a builder. You are a steward. You are a follower of the Solomon Code. This is your trajectory. This is your legacy. The law of the portion is your protection. The wisdom of Solomon is your guide. The freedom of your children is your reward. Go in peace. Walk in wisdom. Remember, the kingdom you build in your mind produces the wealth you hold in your hands. The forbidden law is forbidden because it requires you to reject the easy path. It requires you to say no to the greed of the moment. It requires you to be disciplined when everyone else is being reckless. It is the narrow gate, but it is the only gate that leads to life. The wide gate of the gambler leads to destruction. The narrow gate of the steward leads to a dynasty. You have the map. You have the code. Now you must walk the path. Every day is an opportunity to strengthen your pillars. Every day is an opportunity to divide your portion. Stay the course. Stay patient. Stay wise. The disaster may happen on earth, but it will not happen to your house. You are prepared. You are protected. You are a steward of the Solomon Wealth Code. The ancient world was much more volatile than ours. They faced famines, plagues, and wars with no insurance and no central banks. If a farmer lost his crop, he died. If a merchant's ship sank, he was ruined. It was in this environment of extreme risk that Solomon developed his law. He knew that the only way to survive was to never be fully exposed to any one risk. He had ships in the sea, but he also had mines in the earth. He had taxes from the people, but he also had trade with foreign kings. He had orchards, vineyards, and cattle. He was the ultimate diversified investor. He did not let the uncertainty of the world control him. He controlled his response to the uncertainty. This is the same spirit you must adopt. You cannot control the interest rates. You cannot control the inflation. You cannot control the global conflicts, but you can control your portions. You can control your distribution. You can make yourself uncrushable. This is the highest form of financial wisdom. It is the ability to say, whatever happens, I will be okay. My family will be okay. My legacy will be okay. This is the peace of the Solomon steward. Finally, remember that the law of 8 is not just about protection. It is also about opportunity. When you are distributed, you are in a position to see things that others miss. Because you are not stressed about your survival, you have the mental space to look for value. When one of your portions is in a disaster, you can look at it with the eyes of a buyer. You can see the long-term potential where others only see the short-term pain. This is how the wealthy become wealthier during a crisis. They are not lucky. They are just the only ones with the liquidity and the peace of mind to act. By following Solomon's law, you are putting yourself in the position of the buyer. You are becoming the person that everyone else needs when things go wrong. You are becoming a source of liquidity. You are becoming a source of stability. You are becoming a leader. This is the final result of the Solomon Wealth Code. It is not just about you. It is about your capacity to bless the world. This is the end of the script, but it is the beginning of your implementation. Take the numbers 7 and 8 and write them down. Look at your life. Look at your assets. Look at your income. Where is the single point of failure? Where are you too concentrated? Where are you arrogant? Start the work of humility today. Start the work of distribution. Build your pillars. Protect your portion. You are not a victim of the times. You are a builder of the ages. Go in peace. Walk in wisdom. Remember, the kingdom you build in your mind produces the wealth you hold in your hands. This is the Solomon Wealth Code. This is the forbidden law. This is your freedom.